Hello, welcome back to Oak Grove Media and Film. In today's video we're going to be removing a background in Photoshop, but this time a slightly more complicated image that we're going to need to refine the edges of. This will be a fairly quick demonstration, so by no means will it be a perfect fit at the end, but enough to give you an idea of the techniques you need to use. So I've picked an image here that has a slightly more complex background and obviously the edges are not as well refined because of the dog's fur, and I wanted to show you something where perhaps you can't select the subject that easily. So I'm going to go ahead and use on the left hand side the quick selection tool, so you should just be able to find that in your panel. I'm going to make sure that the plus sign is selected and then go ahead and just drag the cursor around the subject as much as I can. So what's happened here is it's obviously selected a little bit more than I wanted because it doesn't have that clean defined edge, but I'm going to fix that in the next stage. So add a layer mask as usual and then select and mask, so you can do that at the top there, or you can right click and select a mask. And here you can see the selected subject, but I do have bits of the background that I need to get rid of. So for this video I wanted to show you how you can go ahead and use the edge refinement tools to help you out. So there are a couple of different options that you can use. There's the quick selection tool, which you can just do to help refine further. The edge refine tool, which is what I'm going to select here and just show you how that works. So again, just make sure that the plus sign is ticked here, and I'm going to just drag the cursor around the edge of the dog's ear here where it hasn't picked up nicely, and Photoshop should be making a decision as to what it thinks is background and what it thinks is the subject. So it's done a relatively good job on those little bits so far. Again, just pulling it down where it hasn't taken. I'm just going to see how much I can clean up by using this edge refining tool. I'm not too worried about the bottom of the picture because I'm actually going to crop that off anyway, but I'll just quickly show you how you can continue to use that edge refinement tool. It does a pretty good job of fine detail, so in this case the dog's fur, but this is going to be a quick video like I said before, so it's not going to be perfect. So once you are happy with that, you can go ahead and use the brush tool to help you out with the rest of this. So I've just made sure that the minus button is clicked at the top there, and the brush tool just allows you to paint out any details that you don't want anymore. So in this case the background that isn't touching the dog's ear and the edge of his fur, I'm just going to really easily delete, erase. And it works the other way as well, obviously, where you can add in details that have been cut out potentially, which is what I'm just doing here. So like I said, I'm not actually going to use the bottom of this picture, but I'll just show you can obviously use the brush tool to erase details that you don't want. I'm just selecting the edge refinement tool again, just to see if I can get a cleaner finish on this ear here. And if there's any mistakes that you make, or if it takes a chunk out that you didn't want it to, you can obviously just go ahead and undo the action. So on the Mac that's Command Z, but obviously you can go edit, undo as well. I'm just going to play around a little bit with feathering the edge just to see if I can make it a little bit smoother. I don't really like this refine hair button. I've never seen it work particularly well, but you can go ahead and try it if you've got it. If you don't like it, again, you can just undo that function. So here I'm just going to select the decontaminate colors function. This helps if you have got any kind of reflection or color that is left on your subject that is bled through from the background. It's a bit trial and error. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. It depends on the image. But in this case, it did remove some of the darker edging for me. So you can obviously spend a lot of time trying to perfect these edges. It can be quite a time-consuming process to get it really, really perfect. However, for the sake of this video, I'm just going to go ahead and OK that so I can come back into the main panel. So here, what I'm going to do just to double check the edges is actually add a solid colour background. I'm going to pick something nice and bright so it really does show up the edges. Go with pink. I think that will do, and OK that. Just drag that background layer right to the bottom so it's underneath, and as you can see it does highlight some of the issues with the edges. So you can actually use some tools on this page to help refine those edges further, but firstly I'm going to resize the image, so I'm going to use the move tool just so I can get the transform box, and I'm going to just drag that out to the size that I want it to be. So yeah, I think that's okay. And then OK that when I'm happy. And now I can just focus on refining the edges that I need to. So if I just zoom in a little bit here, you can actually see some of the issues. I can see the yellow of the wallpaper still peeping through some of the dog's fur. And there's also a little bit of white from, I think it was a duvet cover that was behind him, and you can see that peeping through his fur. So we can actually use the brush tool to help with that issue. So just make sure down the bottom when you've selected the brush tool that you have got black and white in the swatches. If you use black, it will hide, so conceal any of the mask, the layer mask, sorry, that you're about to paint on. And if you select white, so if I was to go ahead and switch that and have white, that would reveal the details of the image. So I want to obviously hide some of the image, so to conceal some of the image. So I've made sure that black is selected. Up the top are all your brush functions, so the sizing, the harshness of the brush. So play around with what you need. Obviously I'm going to need something that's a little bit soft, not too hard, so I'm not taking huge chunks out of the dog's fur. And I've also sort of played with the opacity as well, so it's not just going to take a solid chunk of colour out. I can also as well go ahead and pick out any bits of background that perhaps been left on the image that I didn't notice in the previous step, by again just making sure I've got the brush tool selected and it's on black. So I think the rhyme is something like black to conceal, white to reveal. Okay, I think we will leave that there for this video. As you can see, it's done a pretty decent job of removing this slightly more complex image from the background, and the outline of the fur isn't actually too bad considering how quickly this has been done. So with time and patience, you can certainly get a very, very clean and finished look to your images once you're removing them from the background. So as ever, do remember to like and subscribe to Oak Grove Media and Film, and join us again for more in the how-to series. Until next time, bye bye.